The United Nations Security Council has voted to end its political mission in Sudan. Friday's vote followed a request by the Sudanese government to terminate the services of the United Nations Integrated Transition Assistance Mission in the country. CGTN's Joy Juma has the details.
The Sudanese government had for long raised its reservations about the UN's political mission in the country. This was followed by a demand for the immediate termination of the United Nations Integrated Transition Assistance Mission in Sudan, UNITAMS. In response, members of the UN Security Council voted on a drawdown program.
The United Kingdom would not have chosen to close UNITAMS at this moment. We commend the work done by the mission before and since the outbreak of the conflict. But given the unequivocal demand of the Sudanese authorities for the immediate termination of UNITAMS, we have worked tirelessly as penholder to agree a compromise to allow an orderly transition and liquidation. We reiterate that the Sudanese authorities remain responsible for the safety and security of UNITAMS staff and assets during this transition.
Russia abstained from the unanimous vote to end UNITAM's mandate. The US and UK ambassadors expressed dismay over the decision, but said the move was inevitable.
We thank the Security Council for positively responding to the request of the government of the Sudan to terminate the mandate of UNITAMS. We affirm the government's readiness to continue constructive engagement with the UN by strengthening cooperation with the country team to work on issues of recovery, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and development support.
The conflict in Sudan, which is now in its 8th month, has forced more than 6 million people out of their homes, with some escaping into neighboring countries.
The situation in the Darfur and other parts of the Sudan are disturbing, and we must all respond to the cause of the suffering Sudanese people for a cessation of the hostilities, the protection of civilians, and the provision of humanitarian assistance to the numerous displaced persons, among others. As members of the A3, we are rightfully more concerned by the situation and would continue to engage constructively within the Council and our continental context with the processes required to abate the fighting.
UN officials say that despite the drawdown of the UNITAMS mission by a few hundred people, they will keep trying to help Sudanese people with the continuing presence of various humanitarian agencies. Joy Juma, CGTN.
Naba Moordeen is in Port Sudan and joins us with more. Naba, welcome to the program. What has been UNITAM's work in Sudan, and what can you say have been its achievements?
Well, since the establishment of UNITAM's mission in Sudan in 2020, it faced many challenges, but it achieved a lot of things, including supporting the the democratic transition in Sudan, mediating between the civilians and military generals after the ouster of Omar al-Bashir, and achieving one of the most important transitions in Sudan's history, which is the transitional period and its agreement between the civilians and the military generals. The UNITAMS also work on the peaceful coexistence in many Sudanese communities that witnessed violence and war zones, including Darfur, Kordofan, and Blue Nile regions. The UNITAMS also work in mobilizing the funds that was allocated to Sudan. It supported economic activities in Sudan, the funds by international organizations. So UNITAMS work in political phase, in economic phase, and also social phase. So it's really big loss to Sudan to lose such political mission that supported Sudan through the 3 years of turmoil.
All right, Naba, what has been the reaction to the UN ending its political mission in Sudan? Talk to us about that.
Before the decision was made, the former Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok appealed to the United Nations Security Council to look at this decision before it was issued, because Sudan right now is in need for political assistance and for support more than before. We all know that Sudan right now is going through a raging war, and there is also a lot of indications that if war continued and the economic collapse continued, the country will right now is at the brink of a collapse, and the country will face an uncertain future. So the reaction right now is big. People are so frustrated because they think they are facing an undefined future, and uncertainty will grow more in Sudan. It's a very big loss to the Sudanese people, to the transitional to the democratic transition and the transitional transformation, and also it closed the door for any assistance from the international community towards Sudan, and of course it draws very dark picture for the future of Sudan.